Welcome back, everyone. Hey, I just wanted to make a couple comments on the previous video that you should have already watched today. So if you haven't already, go watch video number 1 for the day, and this is just a slight extension of what was covered in that video. Firstly, he gave a very good definition for the mean, and he described how to find it. Here it is stated here, and here's a data set. What he didn't do is he didn't do a very complicated example where you might get a decimal. And I just wanted to say, first and foremost, don't be afraid if you get a decimal. It's very common to do. In this case, someone got 6.7 by doing the proper order of operations. And I think for this chapter, we're just going to round to the nearest tenth. So if you get an online test and it's wondering why it's not counted as correct, maybe this is the reason that you put too many digits in or whatever. The second thing I wanted to point out was just a common error that I see from students, and that's just doing the appropriate order of operations. I would recommend writing out this expression right here just because it kind of says, hey, I got to go add these numbers together first, then divide by the number of items. And when you work this on your calculator, I think a lot of students know to do this, but when you go to work it on your calculator, sometimes they make a mistake. And I'll show you 2 correct ways to do it, which would be do it in 2 different lines. And sometimes the list is too long to actually display, so just make sure that you're typing in things accurately. And if you have a fancy calculator, sometimes you can see them all, but if you don't, then sometimes some of these numbers get buried in previous entries. But anyway, add them all together. Hit enter so you get that answer of 47, and then either type in 47 divided by the number of items or just recall your answer and divide that by the number of items. The second way you can do it is you can actually use parentheses, so just go ahead and insert a set of parentheses around the entire numerator. The thing that I don't want you to do, and the common mistake that I see, is that some student will do it like this where there are no parentheses, so all it's doing is taking 3 divided by 7 and then adding all these numbers to it. Now you should get done with that problem. You should know it's wrong because it's a very different answer, and that 44 is not representative of any of the numbers in the set. So just take a look at your final answer. The nice thing about statistics is that it should make sense. The second and easiest note that I have today is we didn't actually talk about range in that video because it's not a measure of center. It's actually a measure of spread. How spread out is the data. Basically, range is just the difference between the largest number and the smallest number. So you go find the maximum value, subtract the minimum value, and that tells you how far spread apart the numbers in the data set are. So if we were looking at this set that's nice and orderly for us, we take the biggest number, 11, and subtract 3 and get 8. If we mix it up a little bit with a slightly more complicated data set, so it's not in order anymore and there's a negative in there, we go find the highest number, which is 79, and we go find the lowest number, which is negative 20. We still pop it into the same formula, so all of a sudden I'm subtracting a negative, double negative, and I get an answer of 99. I should point out that all these formulas still work with negatives, decimals, all the numbers that you can throw at it. So although he didn't go through very many complicated examples, here's a couple, and they could get worse, they could get better, depending on how real the situation is. Generally, real situations have messier numbers. Until next time.